All right, let's just jump right in with a pretty big question. What if the most important choice you make in life isn't actually how you live it, but whether you live it at all? We're going to unpack a really provocative paper from 2016 by Tennyson Samraj that looks at our entire existence through this one single idea, the right to exit.
So the paper kicks off with a question that's, it's simple on the surface, but it's also deeply unsettling. Think about it. None of us chose to be born. We just showed up, right? So the author makes us ask this really tough question. If we never consented to start this thing called life, is our existence basically something that was forced upon us? Is it an imposition? And to really make this idea hit home, Samraj uses this incredible analogy. He says, okay, imagine your life is a room. Now, if you're put in that room and you didn't ask to be there, and all the doors are locked from the outside, well, it pretty quickly stops feeling like a home, doesn't it? It starts to feel a lot more like a prison.
And that right there, that's the core existential trap the paper really digs into. I mean, we get here without our consent, and we know that the final exit, natural death, is coming for all of us. So if that's the setup, how do we ever truly make this life ours?
Okay, so if life starts as this imposition, what's the secret ingredient? What's the thing that can transform it from being a trap into something meaningful, something we actually choose? Well, the author's answer boils down to one single, really powerful concept.
The paper argues that there is a key that can unlock that door, a way to turn this potential prison into a home. And that key, it's not something you find out in the world. It's something internal. It's the power of choice.
And this is where the paper proposes a pretty radical shift in thinking. It basically asks us to step away from the traditional view, the sanctity of life idea, that life itself is inherently sacred. Instead, it argues that what truly makes life sacred is our conscious, continuous choice to live it.
This is really the heart of the whole argument. The meaning in your life, right now, at this very moment, comes from the fact that you're actively choosing it. The value isn't in being forced to stay in that room. The real value is knowing the door is unlocked, that an exit is possible, and yet you still decide to stay inside.
Okay, so this is a really fascinating philosophical idea, but it has huge real-world consequences. And that brings us to a super important legal and moral distinction the author makes. We're moving from the what if to the what now.
Now, to really get this next piece of the puzzle, we have to quickly understand two different kinds of rights. First, you've got negative rights. That's basically the right to be left alone. Think freedom from interference, like your right to free speech. Then you have positive rights, which is the right to be provided with something. Think freedom to have a service, like the right to a public defender.
And here's why that distinction is so critical. The paper draws a really clear line between the right to die and the right to death. The right to die, it argues, is a moral issue. It's a negative right, the freedom from having anyone interfere with your personal choice. But the right to death, well, that's different. That's a legal issue, a positive right, because it requires assistance from someone else, like a doctor, and that obligates them to provide a service.
Okay, so let's follow that logic. If a society were to actually legislate a right to death, who gets it? Who should it apply to? Now, the common answer seems pretty obvious, right? But the paper's conclusion here, it might actually surprise you.
I mean, most of us would immediately think, well, obviously, this right would be for the terminally ill. A compassionate option for people who are in just unbearable pain. But the author argues that limiting the right just to the sick is actually counterproductive.
Now, the logic here is a little counterintuitive, but it is so powerful when you get it. The paper says that to truly protect the most vulnerable people, this right has to be universal, for everyone. And why is that? Well, think about it. If the option to exit is offered only to sick people, it can start to feel less like a right and more like a suggestion, or even an expectation. But when it's a right that belongs to everybody, that pressure just vanishes. It genuinely empowers a sick person to choose life, because their choice is now the same as a healthy person's.
And this quote right here just gets to the absolute heart of that pressure. The author suggests that for so many people who are facing this irreversible suffering, the desire for death isn't really a want in the true sense of the word. Instead, it becomes what they feel is a need. It's a tragic last resort, and it's driven by a society that isn't providing the care and support they deserve.
And all of this leads directly to the paper's incredibly powerful conclusion. And it's not just a recommendation either. It's framed as an ultimatum, delivered directly to society as a whole.
So here's the ultimatum the paper lays out for us. It says society faces a really stark choice, and we can't have it both ways. Path A is that we really commit, fully and without reservation, to caring for the sick and the dying so that life never becomes unbearable for them. Or there's Path B. If we fail to meet that first obligation, then we have a moral duty to legally provide a dignified way out for those who choose it.
And this is where the entire argument lands. The right to exist and the right to exit are two sides of the same coin. The freedom to stay in that room is only made real, it's only truly meaningful because you also have the freedom to leave. You just can't understand one without the other.
So what we've really unpacked here is an argument that completely reframes one of the biggest questions of all. It suggests that maybe the focus shouldn't be so much on death, but on the incredible power and meaning of choice. And that leaves all of us with a final question to think about. Knowing that the door is there, what does it mean for you to choose every single day to stay in the room?